The Leon County Tax Collector's Office wants to ensure that our customers are always fully informed. In an effort to create a fresh and fun way to share information and to answer your most frequently asked questions, we are proud to present our podcast, Tax Table Talk. On this podcast, we will share information on various topics of interest in property taxes. We hope to provide answers to your most challenging questions about subjects like tax certificates, tax deeds, tourist development taxes, and much more. Please tune in and feel free to provide your own questions to our email, webtax@leoncountyfl.gov. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Tax Table Talk. This is our office, being the Leon County Tax Collector's Office, new quarterly podcast intended to highlight information on important property tax topics that impact our property owners, investors, and a lot of other interested parties in Leon County. My name is Misha Brooks Black, and I'll be serving as the co-host. In my day job, I am the Chief Deputy of Tax Administration and General Counsel for the Office of Doris Maloy, Leon County Tax Collector. I'm always talking, so I thought this would be a good idea for us to have our tax collector and host, Doris Maloy, on today, who's our chief expert on all things tax, to talk a little bit about tax certificates and tax deeds. How are you today, Mrs. Maloy?
I am doing great.
Good. Well, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you about a topic that I get an opportunity to hear lots of questions about, but I'm sure you do too. So let's start here. Can you share with our taxpayers or our listeners why you thought a podcast of this nature would be important and informative?
I certainly will. And thank you so much, Misha, for bringing this to as one of the things that we can do to share information with our customer base. A podcast of this type is important because lots of time the customers don't quite understand the process. And we just want to share basic information about what it means. What is a tax certificate? How the process works. And the ultimate end result, though, is to help customers not to get in a situation where they are not able to pay the delinquent taxes or not knowing what the process is in the event that they do have delinquent taxes.
I couldn't agree more. So I think we should just go ahead and get started with this conversation. So let's jump in the conversation here with some discussion, like I stated earlier, on tax certificates. I think our property owners and fellow taxpayers may benefit from learning a little bit more about what tax certificates are and how they work. I think a great point to start may be a little discussion about the tax certificate sale that we have annually on June 1. As we both know, it is our office's probably one of our office's most significant duties in property tax administration. Ms. Maloy, I'll give you the opportunity to tell us a little bit about what you'd like to share about the tax certificate sale on June 1.
Well, certainly, and thank you. So one thing that I'd like the customers to keep in mind, June 1. It does not matter if June 1 falls on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The tax certificate is held on June 1. And so with that being one important thing that I'd like you to remember, a tax certificate is simply a first lien on the property. It does not guarantee that you get the property. If a tax certificate is purchased by an individual, it doesn't give you any ownership right to the property. The person who purchases the tax certificate is simply paying the taxes on your behalf, and on your part, it's recorded as a lien.
I think that's great that you share that, because much to what you've stated already, it's a big misconception that the person who purchases that certificate and participates in that tax certificate sale is actually buying that person's property. And we know that that's not true. And I thought that that would be something that's very good for our investors to know, as well as property owners, that the tax certificate sale does not give that tax certificate investor any ownership in the property. Many of our property owners are also not aware that those investors who purchase the certificates are primarily not individuals. You know, we get calls on a daily basis that people say, I think my neighbor or the person around the corner is trying trying to take my property, when actually our tax certificate investors are usually companies who this is the business is what they do, and not individuals who've pinpointed your home to remove it from you. I thought that was something that we should shed light on. I know that in your many years of being tax collector, you've been asked about this topic probably more times than you can count, but could you share maybe a few of the most frequently asked questions you receive about tax certificates and maybe even tax deeds when you're out and about in the community?
Well, here are the questions, and they don't necessarily fall neatly into the category of about tax certificates. It's, I haven't paid my taxes. Can I have an extra month? No, you really can't have an extra month.
Right.
Another question is, when is my property going to be sold? I didn't pay my taxes. If someone pays my taxes for me, what does that mean? Can I pay someone else's taxes? And would I have ownership of the property? Those are all things that are basically myths, really, because they've heard and they've seen that on television when the guy comes on saying, hey, you can buy this property for, $146. And people don't know about this, but this is what you can do. That is not true. That is not factual. In Florida, there's a process for tax certificates. The bidder purchases a tax certificate, and we'll go into a little more about how it's bid from 0 to 18%, and it's the lowest interest amount that's being bid on for that tax certificate. That's going to be the successful bidder. But once that certificate is purchased, the owner then of that property has some leeway because they can't be contacted for about 2 years. It's actually 22 months, about 2 years before they can be contacted regarding what's the next step. And so we'll go into a little more about that. But those are some of the questions. Customers really don't understand the process. How am I notified? Well, we don't notify customers that a tax deed application has been applied for. It's a courtesy, and because we send out multiple notices throughout the year about tax, the notice goes out first, the reminder notice, there's a notice that goes out even before that in February that kind of lists if you have delinquent taxes. So there's adequate notification. So at the time of a tax deed application, the customer would not necessarily get a letter saying that someone has applied for a tax deed application. But I guess if I had to summarize the most popular questions, it's not understanding what the tax deed means. If someone pays my property, will they get my property? Can the government come in and take my property? What does it mean to have a lien on the property? All of those things. And I would like also say we have a lot of information on our website just to go in and review that process, just to be familiar with some of the terminology there. And I have a better understanding of what it means when we refer to tax certificate sale.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people look at things on social media and on the television to give them information and guidance on how this process works, which, much to what you've already said, this is a process that's been in the Florida law for a long time with regards to how it works. We send that notice out. It is due, your initial notice, by March 31st. If you don't pay your property taxes by March 31st, we sell that tax certificate on June 1st. Anything that's not sold on June 1st at that tax certificate sale is struck to the county or given to the county and available for purchase by investors on our website. So much to what you've already said, the process is fairly mature one that's been around for a while in any additional information that a person will want about tax certificates, as much to what you've said, Ms. Maloy, available on our website, www.leontaxcollector.net. So I think we've talked, pretty sufficiently about tax certificates. So let's move the discussion to a same or similar topic. We both know that our office fields a majority of its most critical phone calls from customers who face the potential loss of property through the tax deed application process. You've already referenced that 22 months after that tax certificate is sold, that tax deed application process can begin. Do you want to share with us a little about that process and how it works, how we get to the place where people are calling and really in fear of losing their home?
Well, certainly. And it's very, very important to us, because one of the things that we want customers to know is we want you to maintain your your property, especially if it's a homestead. We worked with you any way that we can, following the law, to make sure that you understand the steps that are involved. But when it comes to a tax deed application, we follow the law. Now, keep in mind that the investor has paid the taxes on your behalf. So it's only right that that investor has a say in when he or she wants to get paid. We call that redeem the tax certificate. So it's only right that that person has the right to say when they want to redeem that certificate. Once that application is received from that bidder, we start the process of doing the lien search. We call it a property information, where they make sure that we're communicating with the correct owners of the property, that there is nothing there that's out of sync with what we already see that's going on. So the property information just provides a lot of information to help us make sure that we're communicating with the right individuals, the legal description is correct, and all of that. So once that process is done and we receive the report back, we're asking the bidder, the investor, to pay certain funds again on your behalf. Everything that has to go to the clerk's office, the tax deed application will be certified to the clerk's office, and the bidder would have to pay certain funds, including what the clerk has set as their fee to take everything to the tax deed auction. And once that has happened, we certify the application over to the clerk's office. I want to be clear that the tax collector does not sell the property. We simply provide all of the paperwork, make sure that the information on that parcel is correct, and that's done by an independent company that we contract with as what you commonly refer to as a title company, but we call them a title research company. But they make sure that all the information is correct so that we're able to certify all of the application and have the funding source identified, and all of that goes to the clerk's office. It's important that when we give a date to the property owner, that when payment must be made in the office, it is made that date. Otherwise, now we have another party involved, the clerk's office, and they have certain guidelines and timetables to meet as well. So that's why it's very, very important that if we say we must have payment in the office by 5 o'clock on whatever date, it must be received that day, because that's the date that triggers the next step. And we don't have any say so on changing that date or anything of that nature.
I agree. This process is very challenging, I could say, Ms. Maloy, to our team, because we want every homeowner to keep their house. You know, we want to do everything we can to assist you in the process, but much to what Ms. Maloy has already provided, this is a process that is a step-by-step. We get the tax deed application from the investor, much to what you've said. They expect full repayment when you come in, so we can't take, and I know we get questions all the time, hey, this tax deed application is $10,000. Can I maybe come in and give you guys $2,000? What Ms. Maloy's already provided is that investor dropped off $10,000 to get this process started. So unfortunately, we don't have the liberty to give them $2,000 back on the $10,000 they paid for us. So I know that's a question that we get all the time, but much to what you said, I think that a lot of customers don't understand that this is a legal process that we don't have the ability to alter. You know, we don't get to say even when the tax sale auction is going to be once it's sent over to the clerk of the court's office. So I want everyone to know that we are doing this because we want you to know that this process is in place under Florida law, and we're doing all that we can to assist you, but we have to follow that law. So please know that when you call our office and we say, hey, it's with the clerk of the court's office, you're going to have to call them and get additional information. That it's not because we don't want to assist you. Legally, it's where it's supposed to be, and that's with the clerk, and they must assist you. As far as payments go, I know Mrs. Maloy was saying that you have usually until 5 o'clock the day before. Well, we've even been a little bit more liberal in that if the sale is going to be at 10 o'clock that morning, now, Ms. Maloy, we are letting customers come in as late as 9 a.m. right before, because we want to give you every opportunity we can for you to be able to save your home. It's very important that we share with you as customers that we are doing everything we can to assist you. I think a good way to avoid delinquent taxes is to ensure that everyone is aware of the major due dates on the property tax calendar. I think both Mrs. Maloy and I have gone over those a little bit, but Ms. Maloy, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with our listeners what those major dates are so that they can know that that's when we expect to have you in making payments, so that we could avoid even the tax certificate and surely the tax deed application process.
Certainly. So I mentioned that one date that kind of sticks out, that's June 1. And June 1 is certainly the date of the tax certificate sale. But prior to that, November 1st, bills are mailed, and you should be receiving your property tax notice the first week in November. And sometimes, though, with the mail the way it is, it's in November. And so that's a critical date. November, you should be receiving your tax bill. You have until the end of November to get a discount, 4%. If you pay your bill in December, that discount is 3%. In January, it's 2%. In February, it's 1%. And obviously, there is no discount if you pay it in the month of March. But by March 31st, we want you should have paid your property taxes in order for them not to be delinquent. April 1st, they are delinquent. April 1st, they are delinquent. And then after that is that June 1st date where we talked about the tax certificate sale. So those are the crucial dates, the payment cycle, to avoid having a tax certificate sold. And we have many options for you to pay. Those options are, we would prefer you to go online. Right now, that we think that's the most secure way of paying and quickest way of paying your taxes on our website, www.leontaxcollector.net. If you pay by e-check, it's absolutely no fee at all. If you're paying by credit card, there is a fee. You can write a check. You can pay by cash. Obviously, you don't want to put cash in a drop box, but if you're writing by a check, you can walk into the office and pay it, or you can use the drop box. Now, one thing that we do say, the tax collector office now is by appointment. So remember that in any transaction that you're doing, the only time that we waive the appointment is when you have a tax deed situation, and it's critical that you have a payment in the office by the date we've given you. So we would certainly waive that appointment. But any other time, what we say is plan your visit, make an appointment. Plan your visit, make an appointment. So those are a summary of the payment options that we have. And we hope that you would never have to be in a situation of being confronted with a tax deed situation or a tax certificate sale situation, but we want you to have as much information as you can about the process in case you are in that situation.
And you've given us plenty of good information today, Mrs. Maloy. Thank you. Well, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up the first episode of our Tax Table Talk. Please send any questions that you might have for the next episode to webtax@leoncountyfl.gov. Let me repeat that. Webtax, WEBTAX @leoncountyfl.gov. Label the email Tax Table Talk and let us know what you think. Also give us some topics or some things that you want to hear about, because that's what we're here for, to serve you. Remember, it's breezy, quick, and easy. Visit our website at www.leontaxcollector.net, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Enjoy. Talk to you soon.